Hey folks, welcome. Today I want to give you a guide on my Decaying Doom Blast Occultist. Let's start with a few clips of gameplay and see it in action. So let me tell you how all of this works, what we need, what's important to know and what to look for. Let's start with the gloves. This is basically the only mandatory item for this build. Vixen's Entrapment triggers socketed curses in socket order when we self-cast a curse. Here we have Elemental Weakness, which does nothing, Punishment for more damage taken when the enemy is on low life, Despair, and Enfeeble for obvious reasons. To trigger all of this, we self-cast Temporal Chains, linked to Impending Doom, Decay, Swift Affliction, Void Manipulation, and Efficacy. We start off with casting Temp Chains from our main setup, but due to cast speed it is not applied instantly. This causes to trigger all 4 curses from our Vixen's Entrapment gloves. Triggered skills are instant and therefore all 4 curses will be applied before our Temp Chains cast is finished. At this point, the enemy is cursed with Elemental Weakness, Punishment, Despair, and Enfeeble. Once the Temp Chains cast is done, the first curse from our gloves will be overwritten. Now we have Punishment, Despair, Enfeeble, and Temp Chains applied. If we cast again, everything repeats and Temp Chains gets overwritten. This counts as expiring and therefore triggers our Doom Blast from Impending Doom, which applies a nice decay dot to everything that survived the initial blast. So our goal is to scale the decay DPS as high as possible. So here's a quick overview on what it is, what it's not, and how to scale it. It is not a skill, it's not a spell, it's not an ailment, and it is not stackable. It is, however, a support shaman in this case, obviously. It is chaos damage over time. That means it scales with generic damage over time, chaos damage over time, % chaos damage, and % generic damage. The neat little trick here is that it also benefits from Impending Doom's 60% more damage per 5 Doom on Hex. From the tree and with items we can get up to 50 Doom, which results in 600% more decay damage from this mechanic alone. So let's go over gear and gems real quick. I'm using a reflex bow because of the 6% increased movement speed implicit and the relatively low dexterity requirement. The goal for this bow is to boost the level of socketed support gems as high as possible. So with this we can get our decay support to level 24. And as I mentioned before, I'm using Anomalous Temporal Chains, Impending Doom, Decay, Swift Affliction, Void Manipulation, and Efficacy. Using a bow gives us also room for a quiver as a pseudo stat stick to use it as or to fill out our life and missing resistances. As for the helmet, I'm using a Devouring Diadem, mainly because of the socketed gems have 20% reduced reservation. So in here goes our Malevolence and our Summon Skitterbots. This gives us enough free mana for an aspect of the spider, which I have on my boots. And yeah, also on the boots a Flame Dash. with a random enlighten just to level it up, and boots, nothing special here, movement speed, life, resistances. And also in the helmet I'm using a steel skin with increased duration as my move only button, so to have it up frequently. As a body armor I'm using Venomous Shroud. This buffs our aspect of the spider and gives us a little bit of energy shield and a lot of energy shield regeneration. Socket wise I'm using Blight with multiple totems and spell totem, control destruction, efficacy and void manipulation. Vixen's entrapment as the gloves, you already know that, with elemental weakness, punishment, despair and enfeeble. So the ring is pretty interesting. We got a new base item this league, the Iolite ring, which increases your chaos damage. Goal is to use 2 of them. And with Essence of Delirium, you now can craft hexes you inflict have +5 to maximum doom. So with this on both ring slots, you can get up to 50 doom, which with that we can get 600% more damage with our Doom Blast and therefore with our Decay. The amulet is a Citron amulet because of strength and dexterity. You need that. Then just life, resist, energy shield, and I allocated Method to the Madness. The belt also pretty standard, just a Stygian Vice with a lot of resistances, a lot of life, bit of energy shield. Yeah, that's it for the gear. And in our tree I just collected Chaos Damage nodes, Curse Effect nodes, Chaos Damage over Time nodes, Generic Damage over Time nodes. Yeah. Whispers of Doom to apply an additional curse. Mind over Matter. Life. Strength. X. So, nothing special here. We got a Spreading Rod. So our Blight inflicts Withered. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm using 2 Cluster Jewels, a large Cluster Jewel with increased chaos damage, and Unholy Grace, Unwaveringly Evil, and Wicked Paw, mainly to increase our chaos damage. So 30% increased chaos damage, 30% increased chaos damage, 30% increased chaos damage, and I'm using a medium Cluster Jewel with Curse Effect, Misery Everlasting, and Evil Eye. So enemies we curse take 5% increased damage and a little defensive benefit. Everything we curse is blinded. And Misery Everlasting mainly because of Despair Curse Effect. I also got some Hypnotic Eye Jewels for the increased damage over time while wielding a 2-handed weapon. And the rest is just life, strength, dex, stun avoidance I got here, which is also pretty cool. Yeah. And again, dex, cast speed, life, damage over time, movement speed here and there, dex. Yeah, so pretty standard. And of course I'm an occultist, so I got Malediction first, Profane Bloom second, then Void Beacon, and then Withering Presence. Some final thoughts here. This was my league starter and I still have pretty much fun with it. Simple as that. Leveling was super easy. Bought Vixen's Entrapment for 1C as soon as I could use them and built everything up from there. Overall, it's not a super fast mapper or insane bosser, but it's decent and you can do everything with it. And there isn't basically any map mod that you can't run. So if you have tried the build yourself or have any feedback, please let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching and see you soon.